Okay, thank you so much. Well, sorry about the wait, everyone. Thank you for coming today. My name is Erin Vogt. I'm here with George Washington University School of Engineering and Applied Science. I work with students, particularly international students, who are interested in coming into our MS and our PhD programs in engineering and computer science fields. Next slide. So a little bit of background information for GW, and in case you aren't familiar, our university has about 25,000 students, 10,000 undergraduate and 15,000 graduate students. So that makes us a little bit unique that we have more graduate students than undergraduate students. Most universities are the other way around, and it really shows GW's strong focus on graduate level studies. We do have 3 campuses. You might hear occasionally about another campus. But just so that everyone knows, the programs that we are here talking about today are all on our main campus in downtown Washington, D.C., so a very central city location. Next slide. Now about our School of Engineering and Applied Science, we call it SEAS, GWCs. We have 6 academic departments with 12 different fields of study, more than 90 full-time faculty members, and $20 million in annual research spending and counting. So that last number is important to students because that really signifies a lot of the opportunities that are available for you as a graduate student. Those come through our research spending, through our funding, our grants that we receive to do so much of the engineering work that we're doing within our Science and Engineering Hall. Next slide. So our Science and Engineering Hall, I'll just mention, you can see a picture of it up on the screen here. This building is just about 5 years old now. It's a very large Gold LEED certified building. It has a number of research facilities inside that many of our students, particularly our graduate students, are working at during their time studying with us in DC. We have things like a Class 100 nanofabrication clean room. We have a high bay with a strong wall and strong floor where people are testing structural research and things like that. And high resolution imaging suites for much of the computer science work that's going on. So a lot of the research facilities, as well as a lot of the offices, the faculty offices, departments are all located here in the Science Engineering Hall. This is central to where you're studying during your time at GW. Next. So that you can see it a little bit better, I invite you to check out our virtual tour. So this takes you specifically inside the halls of SEAS. You can see the website at the bottom of the screen. It's our primary website, which I'll mention a few times, graduate.seas.gwu.edu, and in this case, / the virtual tour SEAS information. So this allows you to actually sort of virtually walk through the halls of the Science and Engineering Hall. You can look into some of the labs and classrooms, some of the study spaces throughout the building, and just kind of see what it looks like for a student who's walking around on a normal day. Next. So I'll mention a few of our programs. This is the list of all of our master programs available at GWCs. There's one program towards the bottom, Regulatory Biomedical Engineering. That's actually an MEng program, a Master of Engineering. But for any student's sake, it's still a master's program. There's just some slight differences in the requirements. All of our other programs are Master of Science programs. You'll see here all of the available programs. Our most popular program, our largest program, is Computer Science, followed by Electrical Engineering, and then third is typically Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. We have some programs that are growing rapidly right now. So for example, cybersecurity in computer science is a rapidly growing program, as well as data analytics, which is very popular across many sectors these days. And then I'll mention on the next slide our PhD programs. You'll see a slightly smaller list here. which is just because some of the subjects are grouped together under one department. So for example, you'll just see computer science mentioned here. If you're thinking about a PhD program and you're interested in cybersecurity, for example, you would do that potentially within the computer science department. So there are a lot of different subheadings, different areas of research that you can pursue within these primary fields. Next. So one thing I always try to mention to students, so this is one of our professors, Dr. Lee, I always want to mention that students should explore our website, and in particular the faculty pages of our website. So I did include one page in case you're interested here at the bottom of the screen. This is a link to information about different research news and developments that have happened recently at GWCs. But you can find at various different places in our website links to the faculty pages, to their lab websites, and to descriptions of the work that they're doing. Dr. Lee, for example, he does research. He's in our biomedical engineering faculty, and he does research on disease diagnosis and different tools that help with disease diagnosis, especially in children. So that happens to be his area of study. But what you want to do is look through our faculty information for your own interests and your own areas of study. So the more faculty that you see that have research projects going on that are of interest to you, the more I think our program will be a really good fit for you. So you want to make sure that the faculty are doing things, doing research projects that have labs that are really in your field of study, because those are the opportunities that are going to be in front of you as you become a graduate student at GW. Next. And I'll also mention briefly our current graduate student. This is just one of our students in the electrical engineering program. This is Cheng-Chi, and he has had a really good experience, and he is always happy to share his experience with others. So he gave us a quote. I mentioned this just because we have a number of graduate students that are available and that are always willing to talk to other interested students. And this is something that you're always welcome to ask. Me and my team and many other universities are happy to do this as well, which is just to provide the opportunity to connect you with a current student. So if you are thinking about joining our MS in electrical engineering, but you have a couple questions about the program and what it's like, what are the classes like in the US, things like that, we can always connect you with a current student who you might be more comfortable talking to and asking questions to. And they're usually more than happy to tell you about their experience at the university. Next. So I just have a few slides left, and I'll hurry up. I know where my time is ending here shortly, but I do want to mention our Career Services Center. So this center is located within the Science and Engineering Hall, and this is strictly dedicated to our engineering and computer science students. So we have career coaches who are there from the time that you start at the university until after you graduate. They're there to work with you on things like preparing a US style resume, preparing for job interviews, practicing job interviews, preparing cover letters, finding opportunities for work in the US, finding CPT and OPT opportunities, all of these things. So they work very closely with you, and because they are specifically in our Science and Engineering Hall, they are very used to working with engineering students and specifically international engineering students. So they're very familiar with your needs, your interests, different visa requirements, all of those things that are important to you. Next. If you go to the our website and browse to the Career Center, you can find a lot of information about the different programs that we have. So this is just one snapshot of information from our career, from our computer science career guide. So it talks about some of the employers who have recently hired GW students, Amazon, Capital One, Facebook, so on. Some of the research areas within our computer science program, some of the outcomes, some of the job titles that our students have gotten. So this can really help you look through and realize whether or not this program meets your career goals and what you're hoping to accomplish at the end of the program. And that information is available to anyone publicly, so it's not something that you need to access after you become a student or something. You can browse our website now and find that information. So quickly, I'll just mention our admission requirements if you're thinking about starting an application. Right now, we are currently accepting applications for fall 21. Our fall semester starts in August each year. That's our largest start time for students. For fall 2021, we've actually made the decision to waive the GRE requirement because of COVID and difficulty in taking the exam right now. So I do want to mention that GRE is not required for fall 2021 applicants. In most other semesters, in normal semesters, that is a requirement, as well as, of course, your TOEFL or IELTS or Duolingo scores, letters of recommendation, all the standard parts of the application requirement. For transcripts, we do require them in both English and in Mandarin for Chinese students, and we find it's pretty common that most students, their universities seem to be prepared for that request and can provide both of them. I just mentioned that we are happy to provide a fee waiver, of course, for joining the webinar today. The waiver code is Sunrise 2020. But if you don't remember it, you get to the end of the application, you're always welcome to email me and my team. We can provide a fee waiver for you. Next slide. Okay, my last slide is just to mention funding. A lot of students have questions about if there's scholarships available, if they can get assistantships, things like that. We will automatically consider all applicants for scholarships when they apply. So you don't need to do any separate application, a separate process to be considered for this. Most of our scholarships are from 25 to 50%. They are competitive, they're merit-based, so it really depends on all of our applications for the semester and how competitive the applicant pool is. We review all of that information and then we start to issue scholarships to the highest qualified students. Assistantships, things like teaching assistantships and research assistantships, those are typically only for PhD students, for doctoral students. And so a lot of MS students will ask us if it's possible to be considered for that. But for MS students, it's typically just the merit-based scholarships. So they don't come with any work obligation. They're just based on your academic background and your potential. You do also have the opportunity to look for jobs when you're at the university, which my colleagues may have also mentioned. I'm happy to answer any questions about that, but that is separate from funding that you might receive when you come into your program. Okay, so the last slide just has our contact information on it. So our website, graduate.cs.gwu.edu. I mentioned it sometimes throughout the presentation. You can find links there to all of the information that I described today. We also have a Chinese website in Mandarin. If that's easier for you to look at, please feel free. And our email is engineering@gwu.edu. That will connect you with me and a few of my colleagues who we are happy to answer any questions that you have about our programs, the application process. We can provide that fee waiver, any other questions that you might have. But for today, is there anything I can answer for you?
Yeah, thanks for your great sharing. And now we're going to jump right into the Q&A session. And the first question is the student asked, is there any provincial policy available for Chinese students?
Sorry, is there what policy? Preferential, sorry. So meaning that we select more or less students based on like the nationality, based on Chinese. So sorry, I hope I understand the question correctly. So all students are considered the same. There's no different criteria. There's no number of seats for a certain program for students from a certain country. Also the same with our scholarships and our funding. It's open to everyone equally, so everyone is considered the same. There's not a criteria in our general scholarship pool. There's not criteria based on what country you're from or anything like that. We occasionally will fill a class. So we encourage everyone to be sure to apply by all of the deadlines. For example, our deadline is January 15th for the fall semester. So we encourage you to have your application and all required materials submitted by that time. The only time we ever stop taking applications, it doesn't really matter where you're from, but if, for example, we have already filled a class and we don't have capacity to take any more students in that class, then we would have to stop accepting applications at that time. But that will always be after the deadline of January 15th.
All right, great. And the second one is in our university, do we have like sports, medical, this major?
Oh, as a major?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So there's some different programs that you might be interested in. So sorry, I was here just to talk about engineering specifically, but there are a lot of other subjects at GW. So I believe, for example, there's a sports management area of focus within our business school. You'll find things like tourism studies, MBA programs, arts and sciences, English language, education, international affairs, and world politics is very popular at studying at GW. So there's a lot of different programs, and I encourage you, if you want to explore something other than engineering, instead of the website I gave on this screen, you can just go to www.gwu.edu. That's our main university website, and from there you can link to all the different academic programs.
That's great. Okay, the last question is, how is the town and the community or like neighbors, how is the environment there?
Sure, yeah, great question. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we are located in Washington, D.C., and our university campus is very central, right in downtown Washington, D.C. So we're located just 2 blocks from the White House. We're in a very urban environment. As you know, yesterday was our election day, so right now the campus was closed yesterday because being right near the White House is a very busy time. But normally you'll notice that there is just a lot of activity going on in our campus area. So we're so close to the White House, to government buildings. Right across the street from our campus is the World Bank, for example, so headquarters of international organizations. We're near a lot of law firms. We're near technology firms. Right across the river from our campus, so it's about 10 minutes away. By Metro is starting the new Amazon 2 headquarters. So that's also very near to our campus and very interesting for some of our computer science and engineering students. So I think you'll find a typical urban environment, large city campus. The Metro has a station right on our campus, and so you can take the Metro train to any other neighborhood, any other part of the city that you're interested in visiting.
All right, I want to add one question, and because today is like a big day for all the America, so I want to still have a lot of Chinese students care about this. And in your opinion, like take a guess, who is going to win?
I can't possibly take a guess. When I checked the news this morning, right before I joined this call, I believe that all the news is reporting that it's still very close and they're still counting. We have such a strange election this year because normally, of course, you're required to go in person to cast your vote for the president. Because of coronavirus this year, the COVID-19, we have many people mailing their vote, which is not typical here in the US. So there's a lot of challenges now. How do we count all of these votes? And it's possible that maybe in 1 hour they'll announce the next president. It's also possible it could be 3 days, 5 days. We don't know. We're waiting also with anticipation to know what happens.
All right, thanks for your great answer. So that will be all for your session today, and thanks so much for letting us know more about our university.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.